Hello, everybody, and welcome to the Mars Hill Network. I'm Teddy Caputo, and I'm here with Chris Sackett today, who is in charge of the JesusStrong martial arts ministries that he runs. How are you doing, Chris?
Good. How are you?
I'm doing good. So I just want to ask you a couple questions today about your ministry and your faith. So tell me, can you kind of give me a little background about your testimony and like how you came to know Jesus?
Sure. Well, for me, Jesus and karate go hand in hand in different parts of my life. So I was a kid who started taking karate at 11 years old, and I was raised Roman Catholic, so I was involved with youth group and confirmation classes and all things like that. And like many kids, I fell away around age 17. And because of my connection to the martial arts, I was a tournament fighter, I was a competitive kickboxer. I ended up getting into some of those Eastern philosophies that come with the martial arts. I really got into Hinduism, which a lot of the Indian martial artists, obviously, Hinduism is definitely a way that they were brought up. So when I was in college as a kid, I was probably really far away from Christ at that point. And what happened with me was I was a touring musician. I was a lead singer of a progressive metal band, and I was working in radio and television. At the time, in my early 20s, I had gotten a job with 95X. I was with them for about 6 years, and then I was out in Buffalo with a sports radio station out in Buffalo for the Buffalo Sabres. So also at this time, I was getting involved in professional wrestling. So the entertainment industry, pro wrestling, martial arts, everything was focused except for Jesus, my wife, and my 4 kids. At the time, 3 kids. And my wife had always been a strong believer. She was probably one of the most influential parts of my returning to Christ. And what happened was in 2004, I broke my back in the ring at a wrestling show in Buffalo. And I had already been a functioning alcoholic at this time. But then I got involved with prescription medication, and I was addicted to painkillers. So I was just probably in a really, really bad space. In about 2010, my wife found out she was pregnant with our 4th child, Hunter. And we were going through a lot of marital problems at the time, and we were actually getting separated. My father was ill and dying, so I went down to see my parents in Florida and crawled into a bottle of whiskey while I was down there. And when I came, my wife said, "You got to come home. We have another kid coming." I'm driving back, and I stop at south of the border, of all places. And I'm in a hotel room, and I get myself a 12-pack of beer. And I take a drink, and all of a sudden, it just tasted like tar. And I don't know what happened, but I dumped every single bottle of beer down the toilet, and I got on my hands and knees, and I started praying. This was about 11 o'clock at night. Next thing you know, it's 4 in the morning when I stopped praying. So, and I was so overtaken. So I came back, and my wife and I obviously were patching up our marriage. We were having another baby, and I completely came to Christ. And at the time, interestingly enough, I was serving on a worship team playing bass, but I wasn't fully dedicated to Jesus. I fully dedicated myself to Christ. My father had passed away. 4 days later, my son Hunter was born. And I then decided I feel this strong calling to go back to school for ministry. And so I started attending Ohio Christian University. And within 4 years, I graduated summa cum laude, taught my class with my bachelor's in ministry. I was serving as the associate pastor out of First Baptist of Baldwinsville, New York. And from there, I'd been looking for a church to pastor, ended up getting involved with not-for-profit and got a job at Meals on Wheels in Syracuse. And I'm still there. I've been there for 5 years now. And around 2010, when all this happened, part I skipped was when I broke my back, they had put 2 metal rods and 12 screws in my spine. One of the screws was digging into a nerve. I put on a lot of weight. I couldn't really exercise. And once to see the doctor, they decided to remove all the hardware. The fusion had taken, and I was able to start training again. And so it was like everything was healing itself. So I got back into martial arts. I stayed away. I never returned to pro wrestling because, unfortunately, with pro wrestling, there's a lot of negative influences that fall into it. So jump forward to about 2017, and our son Hunter, who is now 6.5, we meet up with a local karate dojo, and he decides he wants to take karate. So that gets the gears going in my head again. I turn the basement into a family dojo, and I start training again. At the same time, my ministry is really picking up. We ended up here at Lakeshore Baptist Church, where I serve as the worship pastor and outreach ministry director. So I'm really training in my martial arts. Really, things are going great in ministry with the worship ministry, the outreach, and I decide, you know what? I want students again. So I'm looking for exercise partners at first. Couldn't find any. Then I decide in January of 2019, I launched this hashtag JesusStrong thing. And I wasn't trying to really start a martial arts dojo at the time. I was just trying to really promote Jesus through athleticism, through the martial arts. And it's all based on 1 Corinthians, train to win the race. And I ended up hooking up with a group called the Christian Martial Arts Association International, which is Yeshua Do. They're headquartered in Edmonton, Alberta, Canada. YeshuaDo.com is the website. And there's at the time, there was 15 schools. They didn't have anyone in New York. So I reached out to them about being their New York connection, and went through a series of interviews and things like that with their board of directors. And they said, you know what, we need more ministers like you, because everyone that teaches at a Yeshua Do school, they're not a sensei. They're a pastor sensei or a Reverend Sheehan. They have their ministry title as well as their martial arts title based on the rank that they have in the martial arts. So I was able to then, at that point, I approached the other pastors here at Lakeshore Baptist, and I said, I want to teach karate. And they said, well, we used to have a Zumba class. Yeah, sure, why not a karate class? I go, but you're not understanding it. I don't want to teach a karate class and charge hey, it's $20 a night to come in, and I want it to be a ministry. And I told them about Yeshua Do and that I'd become the New York rep. And the ministry it's grown. My senior pastor, Mike McMahon, he says it's anointed. So we've seen
Amen to that.
Yeah, very amen to that. We've seen close to 30 students so far in JesusStrong martial arts. We teach a mixed martial arts system that's based in Kempo Karate, Washinru, and Wushu, with also some Wing Chun and Taekwondo, things I picked up along the way. And we also offer a competitive kickboxing program called AMP, which stands for Attitude Manifest Power, based in Colossians, where it talks about, don't do things for yourself, don't do things for other men, do things for God. And that's kind of what we do. We train for God. So through AMP, we offered competitive kickboxing fitness training. And it's similar to what other kickboxing organizations are doing. There's strengthening and stretching and things like that. But a lot of it, we also hit the bag a lot, and we mix it in with the martial arts. The karate students have to take it. Our youth pastor here at Lakeshore Baptist, Pastor Rich Peck, he is another longtime martial artist. So he came on board, and he is our bow staff sensei. And one of the things that we do with all this stuff that we use to reach out to kids and adults and teens, I'm really trying to focus on teens right now, is to not just show them the martial arts, but to show them Jesus. And that's where it's based on 5 pillars, and every pillar is based on scripture. And it's Christian martial arts Yeshua Do is probably the most nonviolent form of martial arts that there is.
So yeah, no, it really sounds like you're using your love for karate and your love for Jesus to put together this wonderful ministry, and that's really good. That's awesome.
And we only hope to grow. Most of the Yeshua Do schools are run out of churches. I don't see us needing to grow outside of Lakeshore anytime soon, because right now we're still trying to grow the ministry at Lakeshore Baptist. We do classes Tuesdays and Thursdays, and we've got a good mix of students. Most of them, a lot of them go here to Lakeshore Baptist, but we also have people that go worship at other churches. I can probably fairly say that all the adults know Christ, but some of my junior division, my kids, they're still young. They might not know Jesus yet. So this is a great way for them to learn more about Jesus and to grow. And my son Hunter, who's an apprentice black belt now, he's been trained since he was 6.5. And by 16, he'll hopefully get certified at 16, because we don't certify in Yeshua Do under 16. He ministers already at such a young age. He talks to people about Jesus. He talks to people about karate. And it amazes me because he also he's got such a childlike innocence. Like at one point, he didn't want to go to Sunday school, and he goes, "Dad, I know everything about Jesus." And I said, "Okay, tell me about Abraham." He goes, "Lincoln?" And I'm like, "That's why we go to Sunday school." and I've got 3 other great kids too. They're all adult children, and it's just God has really blessed me and my wife. And what we hope with Jesus Strong is to just take those blessings that God has blessed us and to extend it outwards. It's not just about karate; it's about Christ, and it's about growing in that direction.
Yeah, no, it sounds really great, and I wish the best of luck to you with your ministry and as it continues to grow in this area and with your family. Thank you so much. That was Chris Sackett, everyone, with Jesus Strong Martial Arts Ministries. We wish him the best of luck for his ministry, and if you are interested in martial arts, then feel free to join. I am Teddy Caputo with the Mars Hill Network. Hope for the journey.